Alright, so let's continue our discussion on square roots. And part of learning square roots is learning all of the ones that are perfect square roots. So we had talked about a couple perfect square roots in the last video. So I'm going to go ahead and give you all the ones that are perfect. So you have square root of 1, square root of 4, square root of 9, square root of 16, square root of 25. So hopefully you know all these first ones. Square root of 1 would be 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. Square root of 4 would be 2. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25 is 5. So we'll keep going. Square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 49 is 7. Square root of 64 is 8. Square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 121 is 11. Square root of 144 equals 12. Square root of 169 is 13. The square root of 196, and these two kind of get confusing, the 13 and the 14, is 14. Square root of 225 is 15. And go ahead and add square root of 400 equals 20. And the square root of 625 is 25. So these are the most common ones that you're going to need when knowing square roots. So I would encourage you to learn all these different square roots. And anytime you have something that's in between these numbers is when you're going to have to estimate. So let's, I did a couple of the smaller ones in my last video, so let's do a couple of the bigger numbers. So let's say we have the square root of 150. So where would 150 fall? It would fall in between the square root of 144 and the square root of 169. So square root of 144 is 12. Square root of 169 is 13. So we know our answer is somewhere between 12 and 13. So which one is it closer to? 150 is 6 away from 144, and it's 19 away from 169. So it's closer to 12. So if you're just doing a whole number estimate, you could say it's about 12. If you're trying to get a little closer to your answer, you would want to look that it's closer to 12, but it's not quite halfway. So you know it's going to be a decimal, and so we could estimate it's less than half, so it would be less than 0.5. So we could say about 12.2 would be a pretty good estimate if you're just using your head. If you're using a calculator to estimate, you could get a little more precise and say it's 12.24744. And so, again, this estimate using a calculator, it's going to go on forever, and it doesn't repeat, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the square root of 150 is an irrational number. Alright, so let's do one more estimation. So let's say we had the square root of 183. So 183 would fit right in here, in between 169 and 196. So we know it's between 13 and 14. And 183 is 14 away from 169 and 13 away from 14. So that would be closer to 14. if we were to estimate that a little closer, we know it's closer to 14, but it's about halfway, a little over halfway. So you could estimate it as 13 6/10. If you were to work it out on a calculator, you do square root of 183, and you get an answer of about 13.5277 on forever. And again, because it goes on forever and it doesn't repeat, that is an irrational number.